Hi guys, welcome to another Divi theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. We've got another eye-catching one for you today. If I scroll down this page, you can see a little arrow flow in. When it gets to the middle there, we've got a little button that's going to appear. They can stop it and click on the button. When it rolls up to the top of the screen, the arrow and the button's going to disappear again. Same when we come down the screen. And this will work perfectly well on tablet and mobile also if I hit my F12 key here. Here we are on the iPad. Let's just make it a little bit bigger so you can see. And if we scroll down here, there it is coming in. There's the button. And it's starting to roll back out there. And it'll do the same when we go back down the screen also. And obviously they can click on it, do what they need to do. On mobile, we've got a slightly different version, but it works fine. Let's look at the iPhone 12 here. If I roll down, there it is. We've just got the button fading in, and then it's going to fade out when we get to the top there. Again, because there's animation there, that's going to get people's eyes on it pretty quickly, which is just exactly what you want. Really easy to do, so let's get started. I'm going to enable the Visual Builder. And let's roll down, and we'll delete what we've got here. I'm going to delete this section, and here's the one we got for mobile right here. I'm going to delete that section also. Let's add a new section. Great. I'm going to use a regular section for this. Inside, I'm going to put a row with 2 columns. Inside the left-hand row, I'm going to put an icon module. There we go. And inside the right-hand one, I'm going to put a button module. There's a button right there. Great. Okay, let's just save this. We'll go into the section. I had a little parallax image in the background there. I'll put that back in there. Blue tab for the section. Always find background under content here. I'm going to grab an image. We'll use that one. And if you're interested in images, have a look at our Divi for Beginners series. We've got a whole video on just doing background images, and you can do some crazy things. You really can. I'm going to use the parallax effect on this one. I'm going to use CSS parallax, which is pretty much fixed, so the image stays exactly where it is right there. It's great. While I'm in the section, because we're throwing things around and we're going to have things coming outside of the section, we want to hide any overflow. To do that, go to your Advanced, Visibility, and you'll find Horizontal and Vertical Overflow. Let's set them both to hidden. If you don't do this, when you're on smaller devices and columns go outside of the row here, you'll have a little scroll button here and it'll appear too big for the viewport, which is not a good thing. So once you do that, that should be fine. And also when I'm in here, I'm going to take away any padding top and bottom because we don't want this too wide. So design is always where you find spacing. Inside spacing, you've got padding and margin. I'm going to put a 0 in the top. I'm going to hit the chain so it'll do the same for the bottom. Got a skinnier section there, and I'll probably do for the same for the row that's inside this. Great, well I'm happy with the section there. Let's start working on our row. This is where things are going to get kind of interesting. If I hover over, you can see the row's got a bit of padding top and bottom. I'm going to get rid of that. So let's go into the row, the green tab for the row. Design, spacing again, doing exactly the same as we did with our section there. Taking any padding away top and bottom. Great. I'm also going to make this row full width. To do that, just above spacing, we'll find sizing. I'm going to take any gutter width away, which is the space in between and around any modules here. So just hit the little switch there, and gutter width we'll take down to 0 there. So our sections are kind of touching, which is what I kind of want for this. And we're going to be adjusting this in a moment. And to make the row itself full width, I'm going to slide the width up to 100%. I'm going to copy that, Control C, and I'm going to paste it down below in the max width, or you can just type it in there if you want to. Make sure it's 100%, don't just slide up the slider to a pixel value. Our row is now 100% of the screen there. Fantastic. Okay, let's create our little arrow effect. I'm going to go into my icon for this, and it really doesn't matter what icon you use because I'm kind of hiding it anyway. It's the default blue color there anyway. I'm going to go into the background of the icon there. I'm going to make that the same blue. So basically all we've got is a square. Now to create the actual arrow effect itself, I'm going to go over to my design, down to transform. I'm going to rotate this by 45 degrees. So we've got a pointy bit on the right hand side, or actually right and left hand side. You can get it pretty close with that. Then you can just scroll up with the little arrows there, fine tune it to 45 degrees. And that should be like a little arrow there. Great. Now to complete the effect, what I really need to do is make the column that this is in the same color, and we'll have to scoot this over a little bit. But let's just make sure it's aligned on the right hand side so it's close to our button initially. To do that, just roll up to the top and you'll find alignment there. I'm going to align it right there. Perfect. Okay, well, let's save that. We can go back into the row now, the green tab for the row. We're working on the left-hand column, column number 1 here. I'm going to go down, give that the same background color, which is that default blue. Obviously, you use whatever color you want. And that's not quite doing it because, you know, we've only got that little tiny pointy bit out. So we can adjust the icon and push it over a little bit more. So let's do that. I'm going to save what we've got here. We're going to go back into the icon itself, the dark tab for the module here. We're going to scoot that icon just over this way a bit. So design, spacing, we're going to do it with margin. You could do it with transform, translate, but I'm going to use margin for this. On the right hand side, I'm going to give it a negative value so it'll put it across. And I think I use negative margin right of about 50 pixels. Obviously adjust to what's working for you. So I'm going to put a negative sign in there, 50, and it'll put in the pixel for me. That's great. We got a nice little pointy bit right there. Perfect. Well, this is shaping up there. Let's go into our button now and make it the way we want it. So I'm going to go into the button, which is in this column right here, dark tab for the button itself. And I think I said, start learning today. Again, obviously, whatever you need to put into yours. Put the link below here wherever it is you want to take people. As this is fictitious, I've got no real link here. Always best practice though, if you're linking to your own site, keep it in the same window. If you're linking off-site, open it in a new tab so that your site stays open. Okay, well, let's just decorate this and put it in the right place. I want it just to the right of that arrow there. So in design for our button, we can go down to button, use custom styles. I'm going to keep this fairly simple. I'm going to make my button text style white. I'm going to make the button background that same blue actually. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it and take the opacity down just a little bit so we can see a hint of that image behind. Just makes the button a little more interesting. And I'm going to go down. I think when we hover over it, we're going to lose that border. So I'm going to put that white border in there so we don't lose it. Got a little icon there. If you don't want the icon or if you want to change it, you can do so down here. If you don't want it at all, you can turn it off. If you want it all the time, switch that to no, and it'll be there on both states. I'm going to leave mine as it is. I'm happy with that. The only other thing I want to do here is give it a border radius. I've been using rounded or pill-shaped buttons for mine. So if you put a high value in there like 50, it'll give it sort of pill shape there. Great. Well, we need to scoot it down and we need to scoot it to the right a bit. To do that, if we roll on down, we've got spacing. To scoot it down, I'm going to use a bit of margin top. Let's try 20. Yeah, it's pretty close, not quite enough. I'm going to just up it by a couple, I think. Something like that works for me. Great. And then we need to scoot it to the right a bit. So I can do that with padding left. I think looks like about 80 pixels. Yeah, that works fine. Fantastic. Well, let's go down and let's animate this. We're using scroll effects to do this today, which is the inbuilt features of the Divi theme itself. So the first thing I want to do is scroll this arrow. I'm going to go into the row and I'm actually going to do the whole column that it's sitting in. And you see that we've got some little pointy bits poking out there. They'll probably be hidden on the front because we've got our section with overflow hidden. So we should be okay with that. Let's go into the row, the green tab, working on column 1 here. I'm going to go to the advanced, down to scroll effects, horizontal motion. I'm going to enable it. And let's see, I want to start off with a real negative value. So let's try -20, I believe. And I'll tell you what all these things mean in a minute. If I scroll down, that's taking it all the way back there. What we've got here is a viewport. Left-hand side, viewport bottom is the bottom of our screen. Viewport top, obviously, is the top of our screen up here. And we can set bits in the middle to have a certain percentage. So when it's 50% up the screen, it's set at the moment. I'm going to set mine to 50 to 70%, I think. And I'm going to tell it wants to be -20 when it comes in at the bottom there. When it gets to 50%, I want it to be right where it should be, which is 0. So if we roll up now, it should go up there, it should stop there. It's going to stay at 0 till we get to 70% of the screen, which is obviously right there. And obviously up this and down this to what works for you. Then when it goes to the top here, I want it to be -20 again, so it's going to disappear back off the left-hand side. So I'm going to put -20 back in there. If I roll up now, it's going to disappear back down there. Fantastic. And just to offset that, I'm having the button fading in. So the button's probably going to fade in a little bit before 50 and fade out a little bit after 70. Really easy to do. We're going to use exactly the same thing to do this. So let's save this. Save the row settings. Go back into our little button here. Same place, over in advanced, you'll find your scroll effects. This time I'm going to use the fade, which is this one right here. I'm going to enable it. And if we look down now, that button's going to fade out at the bottom there because it's 0% there at the viewport bottom. Okay, I want it to be 0 until it gets to about probably 40%. And then I want to keep it at 100%, again, between 50 and 70. That's what I used before. So that when the arrow's pointing at it, it's going to be fully visible. But I want it to fade out again quite quickly. So we can drag the starting opacity up to pretty close to it. I'm going to say 40%, something like that. And again, I want it to fade out when it gets to about 80%, completely fade out, not just start to fade out. Now, if I go down, that button's disappeared completely. When we roll up the top here, there it is. And we roll up there. I've got 100% in there. That should be a 0 because I want it to be totally faded out. There we go. And it'll do the opposite on the way back. From 70 down to 50, it'll be fully. Give them a chance to click on it. And it's going to disappear down there. Like I say, a little arrow doing that's going to get their eyes on it pretty quickly. But of course, we want this to work on tablet and mobile as well. Tablet, I'm going to get it to work pretty easily. But mobile, we may have to do something else. And I'll show you exactly why. Let's save our changes here. Let's hit the little purple button. We'll have a look on tablet. Over here on the left-hand side, we can click on the tablet view. Yeah, you see it's split it up there. It's kind of working, but it's split it up into 2 separate columns. Or I should say it's stacked those columns on top of each other. That's not going to work. And on mobile, yeah, just way too much going on. So we can fix that, certainly on tablet. Let's go into our row, the green tab again. I'm going to write one little line of code, and it's really easy. Over in advanced, I'm going to go to custom CSS. We're going to write one little line. I'm going to click on the module elements tab up there, and I'm going to go down to the main element. I'm going to write display flex, DISPLAY, flex, FLEX. Put a little semicolon on the end just in case we want to do it. Now they're in line. So we're on tablet mode, and that's still working. Perfect. But we go to mobile version. Yeah, it's not going to work at all, is it? Just too much going on there. but we can work around that really easily. So let's do that. What I'm going to do is we'll go back to our desktop version. I'm going to save everything I've got here. I'm actually going to add a new section underneath it. I'm going to make it a regular section. I'm going to put one single column in it, and I'm going to add a button to it. And the button, obviously, we want to be the same as the top one. In fact, let's get rid of this. Let's just copy the top one. That's the easiest option for this. Rather than having to style it all again, let's delete that one. I'll just duplicate this one. 2 little squares right there. Drag one of them down. Doesn't matter which one. That way you've got the link and all the styling. I want to go in there and take away that because we offset the padding a little bit. So let's go in there. I'm going to go over to design. Alignment, this one, I want it to be in the middle. So the reason you can barely see it there is because we've still got that fade effect on it, which is great because I want that. But we'll go down to our spacing. I might leave that padding on the top, but I'm going to get rid of that padding on the left there so it is central. Perfect. Great. Let's now go into our section. We'll use that same parallax image. Blue tab for the section. There's that image. And I'm going to set it to CSS parallax. We're going to take any padding away, just exactly the same as we did before from top and bottom. Put a 0 in there, get the chain. It's still a little bit deep, so we'll do the same for the row as we did. Got to go in there. Got to go into design, spacing. We'll try taking that away, the 0. It's making it a lot more skinny. Oops, I put a 1 in instead of a 0 there. Looks like we need a little bit of padding on the bottom because we've got that offset of 22 on the top there, I believe. We could just take that away from the button and it would be in the middle. But it'd be nice to have a little bit of space there. So let's put 22 on the bottom there. Uncheck the chain so it doesn't do both of them. That's great. That should be in the middle of our little row there. Fantastic. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show this section on mobile, advanced, visibility. That's where we went to hide our overflow. We don't need to hide it on this one because we've got nothing spilling outside of it. I'm going to say disable on tablet and desktop. It grays it out just to let us know in the desktop view. And let's go into the one above. Over to advanced, same thing, down to visibility. I'm going to disable this one on phone. Great. So if we've done everything correctly now, this should work on all devices there. We'll save draft, or publish if you're ready. Let's exit the Visual Builder. Now let's roll on down. Here's our little arrow coming in. Button should fade in. 50 to 70%, it's going to stay there. They can click on it, do what they need to do. Then after 70%, everything's going to go back the other way. Fantastic. Let's just check it out on tablet and mobile. Again, I'm going to hit my F12 key. I'm using Google Chrome with the inspector tools here. Here it is on an iPhone 12. So if we roll down, we've got that little section in there. When it gets up to 50%, that button's going to fade in. It's going to stay there until 70%, then fade out. Of course, they can just roll back down, click on it if they need to. Let's have a look on the iPad Air, perhaps. Let's make it 100% so you can see it. And we're already partially there. If we roll it up, there it is coming in. It's pointing to the button. And then after, it's going to fade back out again. And that's a really eye-catching thing if people are sort of scrolling around your site either on an iPad or an iPhone, and most certainly on the desktop. That's going to get their attention pretty quickly. So there you go, guys. There's how to create an eye-catching little arrow and fade in button using the inbuilt Divi scroll effects. Don't forget, we did use one little line of code, display flex. I'll pop that down the video I'll pop that down at the bottom of the video if anybody just wants to copy and paste it. But it is just that simple. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.